Secret friends, unite!
Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast, episode 446. This is your guide to the geek side, and I am one of your hosts, Todd Terrifying Oxtra, joined by Charlie Chilling Carden.
Terrifying. Did you not take a shower this morning? It's okay. I can't smell
did.
it. Oh, okay.
I feel
good.
So good now. I feel so.
You
so
feel
bright
so,
and airy.
After a more like a night of what, like stalking like a serial killer, like some of the like this trailer we're gonna watch later, you know, and the fact that it's.
I needed a shower, Charlie. That's just my one thing that I did. I was hanging out with friends. We went to a pumpkin thing on Friday. Really cool at the zoo. They're lit up. There's a million of them. It's beautiful. Great time. My friend who has been on the show, Steven Shaskin, he's a children's illustrator and book author, and he was telling me, "Hey, Todd, I know you're into these collectibles. Check out this place." So I went there, and he says the owner's a little persnickety. He's big into like vinyl. He does a vinyl audio podcast, all this stuff.
Boy.
So I went to a shop to check it out. It's collectibles, and Charlie, it's like. The shops I always warn people about, this is one of those shops. Essentially,
like I was describing, like the way Argo's book, my comic shop used to be under the old owner. It was just piles, and it was like, what's going on here? This is still
a modern shop, which it's so crazy because it's not comics, but it's all collectibles, and it's a mix mash of things, and it's so funny because nothing is organized very well. Nothing is priced very well in regards to you can see it. And all the things that are locked away that are probably worth more. The lady running it, because the owner was off doing something. So she was basically holding space. She didn't have the key. So people were coming and asking about things and she couldn't do it. She goes, well, just come back. And I'm like, you do never impose your customers to have to come back.
Can you even imagine being in business to not be in business? Because it's a leitmotif that comes up all the time. It's like, you know, like I said, at Argos, the old owner, Jim, who was a guy I liked, but he had this enormous pile of stuff behind the register. And it's like, what is any of that? Maybe there's something in there I would be interested, but how would I ever know?
The Covenant, no one will know. Top men are on it.
Yeah, exactly. It's Area 51. So I just, growing, you're in logistics and stuff for your job. I grew up, in a small business working for my dad, retail. So I really learned the value of like, hey, you know what? You got to know what you have. You got to be able to talk about it. And you can't just be like,
customer service is number one,
because
those shops, because you make customers or you lose them.
Yeah, people will always be in this day and age. People will always be on eBay. If they're like, oh, I would really love this figure. In your case, like, oh, look, there's blank. The blank, I'm looking forward to complete my collection of blank. Oh, I can't get at it. Well, now I really realize that it's out there and I'm going to go buy it on eBay. So it's just, Charlie, my gosh.
Everything was priced way too high. There was a few things that were unique. There was like the Elvis tour van, which I've never even heard of before as a toy. It was weird. And it had like a KB toy sticker on it. So I'm like, how old is this thing? They had a lot of old 80s probably 90s Star Trek merch,
the Playmate stuff. People
always, like the transporter bridge and things like that.
Yeah, people always
some value there.
Always think that stuff is valuable, but Playmates figures, second to none, even carded, will be $5 each. Honest to God.
Everything was
and
overpriced.
Let me guess, you
even
looked at this.
Things that were 3 years old were way overpriced.
I mean,
not valuable things.
So I'm kind of of two minds about this. And again, we should probably move on from this, but I'm of two minds about that kind of stuff. A, I'm very interested in supporting a local business, but B, I'm also interested in supporting a vendor that doesn't treat me like I'm stupid, because that's pretty much what that is. I know when I look at any of the figures, any of the stuff you see behind me, any of the stuff in my figure collection, I really have a pretty good idea what it's worth, because I'm a vendor as well. I sell for myself. I sell for our friend John.
If you're going to a shop like that, you probably do too. You're not like the guy, the average guy street, never have looked at a collector.
You're not going to be so.
People can search eBay, find value.
Yeah.
So
most people can search eBay on their phone when they're standing there. Oh, look, there's a 92 Captain Picard, Series 1 Playmates. Oh, it's worth $5. This guy wants $25. I'm out of here. So anyway,
if you're going to visit a shop, it needs to be a certain way to really justify traveling to it, things like that. So, Yeah, it was just a weird experience that I wanted to visit a local shop and maybe find a treasure.
I could understand why you'd want to hose off after that, because I certainly have felt dirty.
It was gross.
It was really dirty.
Shop. They had things like a stick, like Charlie. The thing says, "From the robbery" is what it said on the ground. With they were like, so did they get robbed and they got merchandise back? I don't know. Those are questions your customers shouldn't be asking.
You know what? That is not the icebreaker I'm looking for. But the segue I'm looking for is this one. Where
got us out of weather, Charlie.
Oh, I know. The segue I love talking about is a couple of different things. Number one, we are in day 98 of the SAG-AFTRA strike. I know there were 3 different days of negotiations this week, but I've heard no news.
Coming back on Monday.
Coming back on Monday. Well, that's yeah. So you know what? They got a day off in between to keep picketing. Very excited, obviously, that the WGA strike ended last week, and we have those people in play. But the SAG-AFTRA union members are still fighting for their livelihood. Please go to entertainmentcommunity.org. Isn't it funny how we say org instead of org? I don't know, like you say com, not com. I don't know. It's a weird habit. But anyway, if you're able to donate to help these people going in their valiant strike, please do so. All right, moving right along, we do love to play homage, if you prefer, to our delightful Patreons. We talked last week about how we've kind of changed some of our tiers around. We've streamlined things. So please pop over to patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Get all of that wonderful information. Love, as always, to the folks on our Friends with Benefits level, Corey and HD, John Sadorf, the Phoenix Sisters Cosplay, and Mr. Brendan Myers. BFF level is Sean, Stella, and Henry Nias, the awesome Nias family, and Andy Milliken. We do appreciate you. And Todd, we have a feature this week of assigning a superpower to one of our fantastic patrons. So I'll let you take that one.
All right, Corey Hudson from a good friend of ours. He's also a Patreon, of course. So Corey, he loves Disney. He loves video games and things like that. So I'm going to give him a great ability, Charlie. Corey has the ability to go inside the Disney vault at any time and rescue one of those classics.
Oh, is it going to be Song of the South? I hope
it's
not.
like my God. It's the only place he can portal into, put his hand in and pull out something. Maybe he's getting Oliver and Company. Maybe he's getting Songs of the South, which has been banned for decades.
I didn't know that Oliver and Company was off the table. Song of the South, I think, it's like the Star Wars Holiday Special. It'll never be. It's not even the Star Wars Holiday Special, because I don't think you can find it anywhere. A scattered YouTube clip here and there.
I'm sure it's in the dark recesses of the internet that will never come out and never be like, we're showing this, but imagine this came from a different time.
What is that classic expression? They buried it under the jail.
Exactly. It's below the ET cartridges.
Oh my gosh.
In New Mexico.
I have always admired Corey's mastery of the baseball cap. The backwards baseball cap. So I would say Corey's superpower will potentially not as earth moving, literally, as yours. I think Corey has the ability to summon into existence a baseball cap of his choosing at any time. Ooh. So yes, so he can create it with a color. If it's backwards facing, maybe he has some kind of message or logo that would be over the top brow. Obviously, it's a fitted cap, so it's perfectly attenuated to his noggin, but it does have a visage of his liking. And I would even go so far to say that while he was recording, if he wanted to focus his energy, if there was a logo there, he could change it on cue. So I think that would be
billboard that constantly changes.
Right. So he would be like, eat at O's. Don't you remember that from the Mighty Wind?
Yes. Well, thank you, Corey, for being a Patreon, and you never know who's going to be next that will get their power up and be better for it.
You better believe it. Well, Todd, speaking of better for it, I'm not going to qualify that we're really better for what we're looking at right here. So in October 1991, we had Marvel Comics. This I'm not even sure this was Star per se.
I thought so too.
Yeah, it's not featuring it on there. And I'm pretty sure Star was an element of the 80s. Star was a Marvel Comics, younger kid focused imprint, a lot of animated stuff. But from October of 1991, we have Alf issue number 46. And Todd, you do note that while this is dated in October 1991, which means it had a probably July street dig. It's about 3 months difference. The show ended in March of 1990, 18 months prior. So that is very interesting. So
that's amazing.
I know. And the fact that 46 issues, I mean, at this exact same time, I was purchasing what I believe was the dramatically short-lived Kid and Play comic.
Oh,
yes, but which probably ran, less than 15
probably
issues.
along the times Ren and Stimpy was coming out too.
Probably so. But this does, you see Alf, he's sitting, I can't even tell if he's sitting on a couch, but he's looking at 4 movie posters on his wall, word bubble directly above his head, and the posters are to the right. If you're not watching us on YouTube, if you are, you'll be able to see it. Alf says, TV, sitcoms, and comic books are fine, but what I really want to do is direct. And we'll go clockwise here. So upper left is his Dances with Werewolves. He's doing precisely that. To the right of that, we have the Crock-Pocketeer. Yes. Obviously labeled after the Rocketeer. Lower right hand, closer to my own harm, Starch Trek 6, where it just looks like all of the characters are in outfits that are too starched and tightly to move, though it looks like...
they're eating starched foods.
Oh, they're eating
bread, donuts. Yes.
There we go. Yes, I now see pizza. Yeah, you're right. I missed the gag. Maybe it's too small for me. And then finally we have Perminator 2, Fudge/Mint Day. I do see that Alf is dressed as a hairdresser. He is doing the do on someone who is eating fudge with a thing of mints at their feet. That one's a stretch for me.
That's a stretch. Big stretch. The Fudge Mint Day. Yeah.
And again, this is a sequel. So what happened in the first one? He didn't catch up with Sarah Connor, I guess.
Bad perm day, bad hair day. I don't know. Terminator, the first one didn't have any ellipsis or anything. So yeah,
I guess. But you know what? You know what? Who never has a bad hair day because she's as bald as a cue ball. I am talking about our senior news correspondent, Madam Webb, at 123 years young. Hair left her a long time ago, so she has a series of really bizarre wigs down there at the corner of Hollywood and Vine, waiting to give us the biggest news scoops in the industry. So let's go for it.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's rumors and news. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. Well, Madam Webb, I just want to let you know that Charlie did get your card, and unfortunately doesn't have any pertinent details like your number, your address, but it does have like your stats on it and your first appearance in the Marvel universe.
So, there we go. Yeah.
I don't know if you got a cut from that, Madam Webb, or not, but Charlie, I know you placed it in a place of honor, so enjoy.
I did. I put it over in my office here. My work from home office is my childhood bedroom because, of course, April and I live in the house I grew up in. So it is over the eave of the closet door, right next to a near complete line of the 1998 Star Trek: The Next Generation Galoob in action figures. They're not their legs bend, but their arms do not. They just do this. And a figure buddy of mine gave me a bag of them for $15 many, many years ago. So I have but there were 12 of them, and I think I have 9 because the other 3 were kind of rare and hard to find. So, but yes, very excited to have.
Is it actually metal? Because it said metal on the series. Is it just like foil?
You know what? I was too afraid to take it out of the little sleeve, so I don't know. There it will stay. But Madam Webb, my compliments. Looks great. All right, what do we got this week for some news? As if this person hasn't conquered enough of the world.
Oh my goodness. Taylor Swift, Charlie, as you may know, her Travis Kelce's potential girlfriend, who is on every NFL Network series or TV episode now. They're playing the Vikings today, Charlie, so we may see Taylor Swift in Minnesota. Don't know.
There was a game last week. Was it the Lions game last week where she showed up, and it was a game somewhere, absolutely blew up, ticket sales out of control.
It was huge.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, while the news that we're going to discuss about, to me, sounds like a highlight, she was the very low light of the video of the production that April and I will be talking about on a bad trip to the movies with the Cardins, which will be out on our Patreon by the time you listen to this, film called Cats. I will say.
So why are we talking about Taylor Swift? She obviously does have her big movie coming out, her tour movie coming out next week, which is going to be huge. But what we're talking about is why it mattered to geeks, because fans are convinced that there's a rumor that she will be playing Dazzler in Deadpool 3. There's been someone who's created fan art of her as Dazzler, which really looks really cool. It makes sense. She looks a lot like Dazzler. Dazzler is a comic book character that appeared in X-Men 130, I believe. She was basically a pop star who had the ability to basically turn sound into light. And Charlie, there was this long going idea that Jim Shooter was trying to get essentially a Dazzler movie made back in the 80s.
He was trying to do what later ended up working out for Star Wars with like Shadows of the Empire. It was like, we're going to spin it into a movie and it's going to be an album and it's going to be all this different stuff. So yeah. And it just did not come to pass.
Yeah, I mean, and she's great. She looks like a disco queen. We did see her in live action in the last X-Men film. Yes, horrible movie, but I like the Dazzler type of thing. That was pretty cool.
Actress Halston Sage, I think, who was on the Orville, which is not a show that I like, but I just remember that she was on it. Yeah.
Yep. So there's been rumors going back to, from September of 2022, September 2023, and she is everywhere. I mean, it would make sense. I mean, I saw her in an episode of New Girl. She was in that.
Oh, really?
And at this point, I mean,
I'm a fan of everything but her music. I mean, because I'm a fan of her mastery of the world of entertainment. I really am. Even if I'm not a big music fan. So yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny, but people are just trying to put things together. There's been pictures of her with Ryan Reynolds and his wife at one of the at the Jets Chiefs game. Right. I mean, it's just funny because, I mean, it doesn't take much because, I mean, Hugh Grant was also in the booth too. So I mean, if it is, no.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman, you said Hugh Grant. I'm like, no, I don't see him in there.
Sure, he's in it too.
Is he in the back? Well, I'm looking at this photo, and yeah, obviously something significant happened because the woman immediately to Taylor, it's my right, her left, is like holding up her hand like somebody die horribly.
No, I don't know who that is. Yeah. But it's just great. I think this is awesome. It would be awesome to have Dazzler be because she's a lot like Jubilee. If you're familiar with Jubilee, she is an X-Men character who also does things with lights, kind of pathetic characters. They don't really do anything. Jubilee actually became a vampire to make her halfway interesting, which was weird.
Yeah, you're not going to take him into combat because who is that other, like the dude wasn't Cypher the guy who was like could crack any computer code? You had Forge.
Yeah, Cypher could speak any language. Doug Locke, he died.
You're not going to. Yeah,
it's not a combat capability. Yeah, it's behind the scenes, and we've always talked about not every mutant is going to be like ridiculously awesome. And they played around with the kind of useless mutants back in Grant Morrison's run. So, but if this happens, I'm all for it. I think this Deadpool 3 movie is going to be a conduit for a lot of weird things happening, I think, in the Secret Wars film is what we're hearing. Like they're going to get all of the Marvel heroes in, all the odd pieces. Maybe, I don't know where else they could go with it, but I'm all in.
Yeah, totally. No, I'm obviously, I worked in, the radio biz. I worked at a station. So, and I knew a lot of people we had a hot AC station. So Taylor Swift was very big with that crowd. But it is very exciting. And I think she would be a great fit, particularly for, the wild and wackiness that is Deadpool. So yeah, I'm all on board. And again, we're all waiting for the SAG-AFTRA to wrap up. If we're at all lucky, it could potentially happen this week. This week that you're listening to this program. So we shall see. There might be some news forthcoming. Okay. Well, next. Oh, Ty, you gave me a link that the page wants to keep crashing. Bloody Disgusting is not liked by my computer.
You want me to cover this one?
So I'm gonna. Well, I will try to. No, I'll try to zip my way through it. But I can at least give you the headline that Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein has added Christoph Waltz to its cast. From there, without even necessarily going all the way through this, I'm guessing him to be Frankenstein himself. That seems to be the logical move, right?
The doctor, like the person, not the monster.
Todd, the monster is not called Frankenstein. It's Frankenstein's monster. I'm sorry, you knew
Frankenstein's monster, correct?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So he's Dr. Victor Frankenstein or Frankenstein if you subscribe to that interpretation. So oh my goodness, and other people involved. Mia Goth.
This cast is great.
wow, Mia Goth, you just will feel very differently about her after watching Pearl and that movie X. Ooh, my. Oscar Isaac, we all love him. And Andy Garfield. So you got two luminaries, Moon Knight and Spider-Man, previously rumored to have joined this project back in March. And this is a Netflix production. Now, Netflix, I did see they're advertising their stuff. Obviously, in the run-up, the film that we saw that we're going to be talking about in the Thunderdome, I did see a Netflix project with it was either I think it was with Michael Fassbender advertised, but it was in select theaters, but it was a Netflix production. So potentially this is maybe the same kind of thing, or potentially just a straight up Netflix deal.
This question, Netflix actually owns a theater, like one theater where they can actually skirt the Oscar rules to get things nominated for Oscars or awards by showing them there. But there's been a call for Netflix. There's been a call for Netflix to put out their movies in the theater to drive some revenue and things like that, and it eventually comes to Netflix maybe like 3 weeks later, kind of like Hulu or Apple could potentially do the same thing. And it makes sense. It's not hurting anybody, but this could make sense to do it as a Halloween release and then also have it in Netflix maybe a couple weeks later. But the last time Guillermo del Toro had something was the Pinocchio animated movie he did for Netflix, which actually was nominated for Oscar. Yeah, animated.
Sorry,
and then
I was thinking about the live action Pinocchio with Tom Hanks. I never saw that, but
no, that was Disney. Did not do well. And then before that, I think I'm trying to think of the last film he did before that. It wasn't The Shape of Water. I thought it was Crimson Peak.
It does make mention of The Shape of Water, but I don't recall when Crimson Peak came out. I feel like it was before that. I could be wrong. Shape of Water, of course,
I think you're right.
Yeah, Shape of Water, of course, starring friend of the show, Mr. Doug Jones. So they have not rolled on this, so I would expect if they did roll on this, that they would obviously love to get it out during spooky season next year, depending on how quickly that or what they would have to do, or it could be 2 years down the line, probably 2 years down the line, I would say with anything, to think that they could roll on something and then crank it out quite so quickly. I feel like that would be challenging, but I love Frankenstein, and Frankenstein is of course of the vanguard of public domain properties that anybody can take a stab at. So it's nice and easy. So, moving on. Yeah, no, go ahead.
We've got a great museum here called the Bakken. It's an electrical museum. It's by one of the guys who created the pacemaker in Minnesota. He donated his house to have this museum. It's a beautiful place. And they have a really cool Frankenstein exhibit where it's almost like a theatrical, not theatrical, but it's a cool performance that you can watch in. It's 15 minutes long about Frankenstein. And it's Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. It's really well done. And it's really cool. So, this will not be the last Frankenstein adaptation ever.
It's like saying it's the last that we've seen of The Wizard of Oz. Exactly. All right. Well, what do we got next? Oh, man, you're tackling something that is near and dear to my heart, but it also plays with my heart. So take it away.
Oh, yes. Fantastic Four. Director says they're aiming to start filming in spring 2024. And, considering it looks like all the strikes will be settled by then, that makes sense. The script potentially is already done, so they can actually start talking about these projects now. Matt Shankman, I believe he was the director on. He did something else, Charlie, that we liked.
I'm struggling, but I know exactly what you mean.
Yes. So because of that, he's kind of we're going to start getting updates on these things now that they're getting settled. It's going to be filmed at London's Pinewood Studios. Oh, and Josh Freeman is the screenwriter, so he obviously can start tweaking that. And basically he was brought back in March. So he said, I'm sure he was working on his work while the strike was going on. I know people aren't supposed to, but I'm guessing he was. Yeah.
Well, got to do something to pass the time, unless you were out striking, which you should have been.
Exactly. So the movie's supposed to be coming out May 2nd, 2025. So the good news is that gives them time to film, edit, do post-production, things like that. I do worry about it was almost like would be like a mush of projects all trying to get through now from all the production
big bottleneck. Yeah,
all of these things. It could be a bottleneck on the production side, or even getting into stages, or basically on the backlots and things like that. So I'm assuming there is everybody will have to play nice and follow a schedule.
And as you had intimated on the writer's side, there were probably existing contracts, deals signed off on, like, oh, you have this 3 months to do this, or this 5 months to do this, and that time is gone. So, now we gotta, if somebody doesn't want to play nice, then have a writer in their contract that says, hey, because of this, you have to dump that to jump over this. I mean, it'll be real curious. So let's all keep our fingers and toes crossed, as my aunt would frequently say, that this is the week that the WGA SAG-AFTRA strike gets locked down, so that the entertainment industry can start to heal the collective wounds and kind of get back to work.
Yeah, when do we get casting news though? If they're going to start filming this in March, it's going to get out there,
Well, when's the next New York Comic Con is next week?
Oh, they could. I mean, if they get just right, is Marvel going to have a presence there?
If the stars align and that is locked down, well, if Marvel could still announce it, right? But then again, probably don't.
They would get away from Marvel.
Yeah, they would. Yeah, they would. I don't know that they would. It depends on how much they want to put themselves out there for that. But yeah, I would have to think. So anyway,
Matt Shackman, just to come back to that, he is a child actor. He was on Just the 10 of Us. Too funny. And he was also Good Morning, Miss Bliss. He was one of the original actors.
Yes. Was he the curly-headed kid? Was that him?
I think so. And he directed episodes of WandaVision, Game of Thrones.
There we go. Yeah, like I said,
qualified.
His name gets thrown around. Yeah, there were only 4 characters on Good Morning Miss Bliss. It was Zach and Screech. There was a female character and another male character, so he must have been the other male character. That's what that's what I remember.
2 girls, 3 boys on that show.
There you go.
Yeah, Lisa Turtle.
Lisa was the third
white chick who was a brunette. Screech,
she didn't make the transition.
Zach, and then must have been him. Must have been Matt, who was a curly-haired brunette.
It was a 5-piece ensemble cast. So look at that. We solved it. And guess what? This will come up again, and we'll have to do this all over again because we will not remember.
Wait, you're saying we don't have good memories anymore? Oh no.
I'm saying you don't.
Hey, I'll admit it.
That's okay. All right. So in other Marvel news, do you want to just kind of rip through this here? We'll go onesie twosie.
Yeah.
I've been wondering about this. Again, it's an animated property, but Spider-Man Freshman Year has a synopsis out that says this is a new era for Spider-Man. This is Disney Plus and Marvel Studios animated production of Spider-Man. Now, we've not had an animated Spider-Man production since, when was the last one we had going back that was not a kiddie one?
Well, Disney XD did Ultimate Spider-Man. They did a bunch of Spider-Man shows on Disney XD. So there's been a bunch of, I think Ultimate Spider-Man Team Up is another one too. Yeah.
Was it what was the program? So anyway, yes, revealed in the registration record at the patent office for freshman year, Peter Parker's life will be forever changed by unnamed events while he's getting ready for his high school orientation, sending him on a journey like never before. So we have some returning actors and some people I've totally not heard of. Hudson Thames will be again voicing Peter from What If. Okay, so he is your Tom Holland sound-alike. I get it. We have Zeno Robinson as Harry Osborn. Carrie Walgren as Aunt May. Hugh Darcy as Otto Octavius. That name, it's on the tip of my tongue. Was Hugh Darcy, was he Jarvis? Like the human version of Jarvis?
Could be. It makes me think of Mr. Darcy from, what is it, Pride and Prejudice?
Oh, exactly. Eugene Bird is Lonnie Lincoln, which is Tombstone. I knew that one. And Grace Song is Nico Moranu, which from The Runaways. There we go. Yeah, so show has been reported to debut in November of 2024, so a year from now. So I'm down. I don't know. I guess, if I finally drop Disney Plus because I'm so disgusted by them, which I'm sure I won't do, I'll obviously have to add it back.
There's never a gap, Charlie. There's never a gap.
I know. I'm looking for a gap, and yeah, we got Loki going on right now, and then that'll segue into What If will be on. Maybe I can cancel it in January. Am I going to be able to cancel it in January?
Going to be exclusive to Disney Plus. Then you've got to have more Star Wars coming out. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think that.
Like I said, just get the Hulu or just get the Disney Plus Duo. It's $20. You get Hulu and Disney Plus ad free. It only adds $2 to the Hulu ad free cost.
Yeah,
so it's really
I guess.
If you didn't want Hulu, you get rid of both and. Yeah.
Well, I mean Hulu, but I mean Hulu even, we touched Hulu still has its uses, you know what I mean? So I don't know. It's such a crapshoot. But anyway, I'm excited about this. And there is a tweet from Josh at Jason the Don _ with some key art. So Peter looks very much like
it's very Ditko.
Yes. I would say so. Yeah, but we get a couple of Spider-Man, and then we get a visage of Peter Parker. It looks very much like Tom Holland. So yeah, I think this will be a hit.
And it's not 616 either. So this will be not in. It's not going to be Tom Holland. It's not going to be any of that. It's going to be a separate universe.
Oh, very good. Okay. Oh, very interesting. Yeah. And does say also in here that Charlie Cox has joined the cast as Matt Murdock Daredevil. So that's pretty cool. All right, I'm into it, and so we will see that. We'll have more news on that, but hopefully that will drop when it says. All right, what else we got for updated release dates, Mr. Oxtra?
Yes,
Mr. Darcy.
Marvel Phase 5. So we're hearing more about this. So, how will everything shake out? We do know the next show we're going to get after Loki, which we're watching now. We'll talk about that in a second. Is going to be Marvels. Then we're getting Echo, January 2024. Deadpool 3, May 3rd, 2024. Captain America, Brave New World, July 26th, 2024. Then Thunderbolts, December 2024. Blade, February 14th, 2025. Then a lot of TBAs. We did hear about Agatha, though, is now getting a date that's going to be fall 2024. Makes sense. Spooky time.
Gotcha. And I did
Daredevil
also
Born Again is apparently is going to be 2025. That's going to move there.
Quick late breaking headline, if I might. I did see that, and maybe we covered this before and I'm drawing a blank, but that Aubrey Plaza will be a part of the Agatha show.
Yes,
I guess that. Yeah, I guess I had known. But anyway, the last one on here is Ironheart, and I just get a feeling that might go poof. I don't know. I just don't feel like there's much of a buzz.
I mean, if she's going to be a pivotal part of like the next generation of heroes, it would make sense she gets something, because she is going to be the Iron Man replacement, because Don Cheadle's old. It's not like War Machine's going to get any younger. So it makes sense would happen. But yeah, Ironheart doesn't have a release date. And I think that's probably tied to the fact that they still are trying to figure out how they tie up all of those loose ends before the X-Men get involved. They have the Secret Wars, they have the Kang Wars, and when they can fit all of this in, and they may cancel some projects. I mean, I don't think that would be out of the realm. I mean, because there's just so much. There's so many characters now that have Moon Knight. Is he coming back again? Who knows? Are we going to see Werewolf at Night again? Who knows?
I haven't heard a thing. Yeah. So, the only thing on here, and again, I know this is a place where you and I don't necessarily align, but just looking at this list, of course, I'm very excited for Captain America. I'm a huge Captain America guy. That's one of my kind of cornerstones in Marvel. And then, of course, for Deadpool. But, the Marvels, maybe. I think you and I both know that it's going to underperform just because that's the trend. You know what I mean?
Well, it just depends if they have a new bar, right? If they actually are realistic versus like everything earns $1 billion when it's a Marvel.
Yeah,
I think we're past that now. What is the new bar?
Pretty much.
And how much do they spend? I think that they spent like $270 million or something on it.
Yeah, so it's a matter of Endgame was the top of the mountain, and then you're on a toboggan on the way down the mountain, and you got to kind of take what you get. I'm excited for Daredevil, excited for Agatha, but Blade and Thunderbolts maybe. But yeah, we get into the Ironheart territory and Echo. Those are just things that just didn't resonate with me personally. But again, looking at all corners of this, it's something for everybody. But when it's something for everybody, everything can't make $1 billion because there's just not enough of the billions.
The Marvel movies used to be for everybody. That's why they made so much money.
Yeah.
Now they're going a little bit more niche, and of course you're never going to make that much money from them. But if they create new fans, like younger groups of Marvel fans, that's what we need, Charlie. We don't need 85-year-old Marvel fans like, I always stick to my characters, and like
we were having we were having this conversation. April and I did. We actually did a Ren fair yesterday, and had a tent there in the table a little while talking about the chapter. That's always, that's the bit, the Star Trek people at a Ren fair or whatever. But we were chatting. One of our chapter members joined us. We were talking about cable versus streaming and like news, and I said, ad revenues. I'm like, nobody cares about advertising to boomers anymore, because anything the boomers are going to buy is going to be medications that their doctor is going to make them take anyway. So what else are you advertising to boomers for? You got to advertise to the young people.
And how do you advertise young people? Because they've grew up in a lens where commercials don't exist.
Exactly what we were talking about. So yeah, that's why I said, I have worked in TV. I interned when I was in college, and I've worked in newspaper advertising, which doesn't really exist anymore. And I worked in radio, which is just my forgiveness to my friends who still work in the business. It's a dying, it's the dying swan as far as ad revenues, because how do you approach a prospective advertiser to get them something where the return on investment is like, I don't know. I probably earned some ire. You can certainly feel free to hit me up on X at the C3. Let me know that I have sold out my origins in radio. But yeah, it's challenging. And and we do this show, we're supported by our Patreons. But again, this is not the way that we're making bread. You know what I mean? Just we do this because we love it, mostly, for the most part. So yeah, it's challenging. It's challenging, like you said, because this has turned into basically the streaming wars. Like, okay, well, I'm like I'm this, so I like that, or I'm that, so I like this. It's just that's a tough one.
We shall see. But what we'll also potentially see around the Christmas time, and that's a new horror film that I'm enjoying this trend. Last year we got
the Violent Night.
That's right, which was a great play on Santa Claus. Really loved that movie, but now we're getting It's a Wonderful Knife. And this movie is essentially playing on the theme of It's a Wonderful Life, where, if I only, didn't exist, the world would be a better place. It's all about this girl who you find out that she actually took out a serial killer. And because of that, her life went downhill. So she does would my life be better if I didn't exist? And then she's brought back
Spider-Man No Way Home, like if nobody knew me or whatever. Yeah.
Yes, like A Wonderful Life. The original
combination of the two. There's no Spider-Man in this one. I don't know. Spider-Man might have helped it.
So this looks pretty good. It's got a decent cast. This is going to be on Shudder, and it's going to go to the theaters. But basically, it's just that there's the serial killer who's kind of bathed in white with a non-featured film mask, killing people. And then in the trailer, we're shown that the killer is actually Justin Long, who's the town mayor. Of course, Justin Long. Then this girl's life goes downhill, and then she's brought back. No one knows her. She didn't exist. Her parents doesn't know who she is. And this basically serial killer has continued to kill people. Justin Long, the mayor who was the serial killer, which there may be a twist, is still alive. So I love the music. They put together they blend the Christmas music to the killing, the slaughter really well. Joel McHale's in this as well. Jane Widdop from Yellow Jackets. Justin Long once again. Catherine Isabel from Ginger Snaps, Jess McLeod and Cassandra Nod are also in this. And it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. And this is coming out, looking for a date, November 10th. Perfect timing to get you ready for the holiday.
Exactly. Yeah. It is a solid rainbow bridge between spooky time and the holiday season. You know what I found flipping through my stations on Sirius yesterday? Christmas music. It's too soon. It's like it's the first half of October. Give me a friggin' break. Again, this could be a subject of protracted debate, but when is the right time to start playing Christmas music and thinking about Christmas?
I always say the day after Thanksgiving.
Right. Black Friday.
Give Thanksgiving its due.
Right, exactly. Right. Yeah, because really you're cutting off your nose to spite your face with both Halloween and Thanksgiving, two lost marketing opportunities. If you're like, let's throw Christmas in there, it's like Christmas is the obnoxious sibling that is just you got to push the other two out of the way.
I mean, if people don't like Halloween, then it's like, go ahead, do all your Christmas stuff. It's all for you, but let us Halloweenies and Thanksgivingese
Halloweenists
are fun.
You gotcha. Yes. Todd, are you going to put on a Halloween costume this year? April and I decided we're going to do Star Wars to hand out candy. So what about you? Are you going to cave, put on something?
I don't know what my plan is, but last year we were outside in a bonfire handing out stuff, and no one could see it anyway. So unless I'm going to scare kids, I guess, and I was new to the neighborhood, don't want to be the creepy new neighbor. Probably won't.
Yeah, well, just wear one of those snazzy flat caps you like so much. That could be scary on its own. I don't know.
It could be. You might get a spooky shirt.
But no, I'm gonna bust out. April got for the cruise. There's a holodeck night, so we're going to do Star Wars. She got her General Leia, and I'll do my old man Han, and it'll be a perfect match. Perfect match. All right. Well, that is the end of the news. So, Madam Webb, thank you very much. But it is time to get out that feeble Uber app, the Fuber app. The Geek Easy awaits with terrible drinks and horrible service down in Scugtown, Nastyville. Let's go.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
We're sitting in the Geek Easy, cover band's playing, drinks are poured, and we are ready to get our nerd on. So this week, a favorite of myself and my wife's is SurrealEstate. It's a show that was on Sci-Fi. I believe it's on Netflix now if you want to watch it. Very fun procedural show with a long story arc about realtors that deal with essentially cursed houses, haunted houses, things like that. So their job is to basically free these houses from their ghosts or demons or whatever, so they can sell the houses.
I have a question because I saw this on Colbert this week, which I was very excited that Colbert was back. Was talking about a real estate listing. I feel like you've tabbed this before. It's a sign hanging in the yard, and on the top it says "probably haunted." So yes. Was it one of those?
No, close enough though. But it's really fun show. It's a great ensemble. This is the cast. Two of the main people are actually from Schitt's Creek. You've got Eugene Levy's daughter, who is Sarah, who's the head realtor. She gets brought on as a hotshot realtor. Really good. We find out she has some skeletons in her closet, and then Tim. I can't remember her name. He was the love interest of the daughter on Schitt's Creek with the beard, kind of the enigmatic guy. He shaved his beard. It was like season one. I think Tim Razon is his name. I think that's what his name is. But he's the head of the realtor agency. And then you've got a guy who's good at tech, kind of like can figure out tech and things to get the ghost. You've got basically an ex-priest who handles some of those things. And then you've got like the receptionist who dabbles in things like that. So it's very fun. I really liked the first season. It dealt with really one storyline because the main character, his name is Roman Real Estate is his thing. But basically he can talk to the dead or see like demons and things like that. So that's kind of his into this, and really fun. And this show was actually announced for a second season, got canceled, and then was basically said, nope, we're going to do it. So it's back, and we are getting a full season of this. Now, I don't know if it can get the ratings to get a third season, but it's on Sci-Fi, which it's not. This is the thing that makes me really mad. It's Sci-Fi stuff typically goes to Peacock or somewhere. This is not that. Mm-hmm. So I actually had to subscribe to Sling for $20 just so I could watch this, because it doesn't go anywhere after. It's a pain in the butt.
That's kind of like
I can't buy the episodes like on Apple. Just buy the individual episodes either.
So it's kind of like the Walking Dead stuff. You know, it's AMC, but you got to buy the.
But you could get AMC Plus for that, and that's only $6.
We did, and then and I know at one of the seasons of The Walking Dead, we bought the season because you found for us it was like $5 or something ridiculous, and you got the whole season. And then it just you purchase the episodes, so they just appear, and that's handy. But
it's like you buy the whole season in advance, they show up. There's no way to do any of that. There is no Sci-Fi streaming service. I think you can do it with ads for a week, and then they kick you off, and you have to subscribe. So it's like the worst old model that I hate, because
it's not gonna, you were looking for it, but if people aren't looking for it, it's not going to get found.
It's a dwindling audience.
It's going to be absolutely
people that have Sci-Fi.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely forgotten. So yeah, exactly. I mean, when my 75-year-old mother finally cuts the cord, I turned the lights off. I mean, my mom was in the business. She sold advertising for most of her career.
Everybody's getting out of it. Yeah. Cable companies are getting out of it, and they're basically saying subscribe to something else because it's too expensive. Not enough people are getting it, and they're subsidizing sports and all these other things. So and I worry about there's going to be a constriction in cable, like just channels, like Sci-Fi may go away because they may not. But I'm like, if you put those shows on maybe Peacock or something else.
Yeah, it's going to turn more into
because Chucky's that way. Chucky's on Sci-Fi, but it goes directly to Peacock.
Right, it's going to turn into more of a production house to streaming house deal. How else could it be? So, what else could it be? Yeah, exactly.
First episode's out. It's weekly. It's on Sci-Fi. I'm really enjoying it. Well, I'm glad it's back.
Hopefully someday it'll end up on a streamer somewhere where I can check it out.
The first season's on Netflix. That's the thing.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
After the season's done, it'll go to Netflix.
Well, you keep me engaged because I'm certainly curious. All right. Well, we got a twofer up next of things that we both watched. And the first one, this is this is in it's in the Marvel world. It's on Disney Plus, and it's from your favorite Marvel Comics franchise, or one of your favorites. So go for it.
Yeah, Loki season 2 came back. Loki was, I believe, the second Disney Plus MCU show. First we got
Wanda, and then Loki I agree.
Yeah,
and
so
we watched
been 2 years. Essentially,
I was doing the math on that. I thought, was it 2 years or was it a year ago this time? Wow, yeah, that's right. That was real because you had the in the periphery, you had the one who remains, who's the Kang character, introduced, and then it was the cliffhanger finale of that, where things spinning off in all kinds of crazy directions. And then you had
actually over 2 years. Yeah, this came out June. 2021.
Over 2 years. Well, we had one. No, hold on. We had Wanda, then we had Falcon Winter Soldier, then we had this. So this was the third.
Okay, got it. Okay, but the first round, and this is the only one that's gotten a sequel so far.
Correct.
We have not gotten. I don't know if we ever will get like a second season of other shows or not.
Yeah.
But that led into many other things. Introduced Kang, and then now we're basically picking up where season 1 ended, which is great. So and we're not really dealing with the rest of the MCU. It's really focused on Loki.
It's kind of exactly what they need is something that someone could say, okay, well, I did watch Loki season 1. It was 2 years ago and, fell off my radar, but hey, I loved it, and it's 6 episodes, so I know it's coming back, so I'm just going to go rewatch those 6, which is something I should have done when we didn't do. And then I can jump right back in, but again, it has a very handy recap that takes you right from the moment of how Variant Loki came into existence, spinning off of Endgame, and everything that happened. So really, I've not gone back, and we've talked about this before, it's so tough to go back, particularly doing what we do, having to absorb new content, to go back and rewatch stuff because we're like, okay, I've got this on my radar. I've got that on my radar. Now with the Star Treks, part of what we do on 47 is we have a segment where we talk about older episodes, but I've seen them so many times that I just put them on, but I don't really study them. So yeah, for this newer stuff, it's kind of here and gone. So, but with Marvel, it's so challenging because as it just grows, it becomes this 900-headed hydra that you can't. It's herding cats to try to keep track. But this, as you said, kind of bucks that trend.
Yeah, and let's be honest, not everything is meant to be rewatched. Sometimes it's a moment in time. There's too much stuff to be able to rewatch stuff, enjoy new stuff. It's a fool's errand. You're going to run out of time. Yeah, especially as we see more time.
Yes, exactly.
Behind us than in front of us. So a lot of this. Correct. A lot of television could just be disposable. Just move on. Watch something else. Enjoy.
It's so funny because you think about, and I know we're really getting on a tangent, but it almost kind of ties into this. I'll get one of those weird clickbait headlines on Facebook or some other social media, like 20 worst shows of the 70s, and you'll bring up one of these shows you've never heard of, and it just doesn't exist. Well, it was on for 5 seasons in the early 70s, and it's gone. Does not exist. But maybe somebody watched it again, but it has absolutely zero cultural impact because it doesn't exist anymore.
That was essentially almost all of human history before, the time of the record.
Exactly. Right. It doesn't even exist in anyone's memory because everybody's dead.
Remember that great hymnal from 19?
Oh man, don't get into Bible stuff. We're not doing that.
No. But it is funny because going to church, the Methodist Church, they have all these old hymnals. I'm like, I want some new stuff, man. Some of these jams are just bringing me down, bro.
I can see Todd in church saying, "Hey, looking for his free bird from the choir."
Exactly. Spotify me, play me something more upbeat about Jesus, please. Thank you. But getting into this,
we're getting canceled for sure.
This is really setting us up for kind of where we're going next, kind of fixing everything that they broke season 1, finding Sylvie. They had a great new introduction of a new character. They brought in some weird characters like the military branch of the TVA. We weren't introduced. So we are now introduced to essentially generals that are now out to get Sylvie because that's where they're going to focus on.
And they found 2 of the ugliest people I think they could possibly find.
Charlie, that one woman has a congenital defect.
Okay, that I didn't know.
And the other woman was the wife from The Witch.
Oh yes, okay. Well,
so let's not talk about their appearance. They're
honestly,
actors.
I thought it was a mask. So yes, I stand corrected. My apologies.
She's been in a few things. She was born with a congenital defect, things like that. But
wow.
She had a great role in The Witcher season 3. And she died, unfortunately, in that. But let's see. So, we're basically then introduced to Ki Huang Kwan's new character, which he's great. Ouroboros or OB, and he's great. It's fun.
Now, was that the tangential X-Men tie-in I keep seeing headlines about? Did it have something to do with him? Or is it something else?
No, that's a Thor tie-in at the end.
Okay. So no, not the Braxton, Oklahoma. I saw that headline and I read through it.
Oh, is there another one?
I saw a headline that said, well, and maybe it was like, and we got this covered, was like, hey, Loki 2 gave us an X-Men tag. And then I thought they were referring back to something related to Ki Huang Kwan's character. So I don't know. Wouldn't
I've never heard of the character in X-Men. If it is,
the thing is, the thing that I pictured was when they entered that separate room in the sub basement, and the way it pulled open, I thought, that's like Cerebro. Maybe that's it. The door opening kind of gave me a Cerebro vibe, like.
So Ouroboros is actually part of Norse mythology.
There you go.
So it's also another Thor tie-in. So maybe that's what it has to do. But other than that, I'm not aware of any Marvel tie-ins. There's a Mr. Ouroboros who made an appearance in a She-Hulk comic in 2005. I'm looking this up right now.
Yeah. Okay.
So other than that, there was the Oculus Ouroboros, which was a device. So Charlie, I don't know.
I want to know, listeners, at me over on X, at the C3, and let me know if I just saw a clickbait headline, because now I probably couldn't find it. But yes, I that's what I was totally thinking. So, well, cool. So 6 episodes of this. But it does seem to be, it's both at the same time self-contained, but also talking a little bit about the Kang part of it, which becomes even more uncertain with all the difficulties that Jonathan Majors is having in real life. What that really means?
A little bit, and they referenced him, and we know in previous he's gonna be in this in different time periods.
Correct. Yes.
We'll see where this goes, and we are gonna get more McDonald's.
Yes. We did see that, because Sylvie she does show up at the end, Braxton, Oklahoma, which is the home of New Asgard in the comics and the more recent Thor comics. We got the singer at the end of, I think, Ant-Man Quantumania had to do with this. So we will have a chance to check that out. So yes, this will there. And this is also, much like the next program we're going to talk about, is a day and time. So this is, and this, while Ahsoka, which we're jumping into, was Wednesdays at 9, this is Thursdays at 9. So enjoy that for the next 5 weeks, total of 6 episodes. So, all right. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
So then, Charlie, you and Mark are going to be talking more in depth on episodes of Holocron Chronicles, but we're going to wrap up the season today. Not really going too in depth, but kind of essentially just say Ahsoka has ended now. And I will say I enjoyed the series. It should have been cut by multiple episodes. It should have been tighter. And
could have been 4 or 5. I think you could have lost a whole episode. I agree.
Correct, because I think where they left it, essentially where this left in kind of a cliffhanger. We don't know what's going to happen. Some characters got flip-flopped, and I think at this point there's a lot of questions remaining. Where is this going to go? Because obviously we're getting the Filoni movie. But are we really going to wait 3 to 4 years before we see anything in between? Because just seems silly.
It does, but I'll try to offer at least a little bit of context. Let's not forget, Star Wars started with 3 movies. that were 3 years apart in release, and that was all we had, except for the sometimes really wacky Marvel comics. You know what I mean? So a lot of people are likening the end to this, which is a not fun cliffhanger, to The Empire Strikes Back. You know,
did we get 3 years between Rebel seasons? No,
but again, you know, people will still hang on there. I think the bigger part that really bums me out, because again, we've got other cliffhangers out there in fandom right now. Star Trek Strange New Worlds ended on the cliffhanger. But again, you know, you because it's a prequel, you know that certain people aren't going to die. But with this, we ended up on a cliffhanger. The entire final episode had virtually no appearance by Baylan Skoll, Ray Stevenson's character, and you know, the Billie Eilish Jedi Padawan of his. But we know that Ray Stevenson has passed, and we don't know what that means for the character. I found Baylan Skoll to be one of the more interesting Star Wars characters that we've met in a very long time. I liked him a lot. So that is, and I think I mentioned this when we recorded last time, that's a big blow to the franchise, the loss of the character as portrayed by Ray Stevens, not of course accounting for the fact that Ray Stevenson's passing is tragic to his friends and family. But I can't see how they're necessarily going to give up on this character. I mean, because at the end of it, not to betray too much, he and other characters are still contained to a location where they're together. So it would be difficult for the series in either returning in another season, which we don't know if there will be a season of this show between here and again, you say, oh, we'll see all these in the Filoni movie. Will we? Because every Star Wars project, film related, since 2019 has been canceled. We've had nothing. We don't know that they're actually making the cameras aren't rolling. We're planning to roll on any film of any kind when the strike started. So what are we going to get? You know, I don't want to see the Baylan Skoll character go away, but
no.
You know, I don't think that he will. So I think it's, you know, it's destined to be recast. Yeah.
Dumbledore got recast in the middle of those movie series, and everybody was great. They appreciated what the one actor brought in. Another actor brought in another viewpoint, and it's perfectly fine. No actor says, no, kill that great character I created. I don't want everybody to see him again. No, they want their life to resonate with characters. Yeah, like Indiana.
No? By the way, Dumbledore, R.I.P. Michael Gambon, who passed away this week.
Correct.
But I mean, like Indiana Jones, well, they wouldn't kill him off, but James Bond has been portrayed by like 10 different people. Or Doctor Who has had 17 doctors now, or whatever it is. I totally agree with you. It's just, it's a bummer. I really, really found Baylan Skoll to be one of the more compelling Star Wars characters that I can think of. I don't mean, name me another one that you're like, wow, this guy's, layers have layers. I just found him to be really deep.
He was very entertaining. I also, really loved Ezra. I did find a lot of the times there were some emotional beats in this, but also at times I felt like they didn't deliver the emotional beats. Like I loved it when Hera saw Ezra for the first time.
The very end. Yeah.
But hey, how's it going? No, they should be embracing each other, going to each other. That just seemed like so like
after not seeing each other for a decade and having parted under such auspicious circumstances. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. It's just a really weird take. And Charlie, the one thing I struggle with, if there's nothing else between this and the movie, now imagine all of those characters, all of those things we got to get people up to speed to get together with Mando, all these other pieces in one movie. That is a recipe for disaster. Of
bring together
characters
Mando
getting like 2 minutes.
Yeah, Boba plus this. So
he's never directed a movie before. Filoni's never directed a movie, and he likes to draw things out. I just worry that he's going to have to do something to fill in some gaps because.
Well, I mean, unless it's going to be a trilogy, that's what Star Wars does.
Oh God. It's going to be 18 movies.
Well, I mean, and again, it's 18 movies set between the OT and the ST. It's just it's a lot of threads to pull on. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Anyway. But anyway, yes.
I thought it was. I think it was a successful series.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. And did having a TV series go into one final, series work for people that were never aware of these characters? I don't know. We'll see if Disney thought it was great and want more to fill the gap until they get that movie. I mean, I don't know.
It's a series of protracted debate. Todd, maybe we'll bring you on as a guest when we're talking about this finale on Holocron. We'll see what happens, because I think your perspective is valid. All right, I'll go a little bit quicker just for the sake of time. I'll give a super quick tease and an update on Todd's struggle with the Gen V series, having started on the third act.
I'm up to episode 3 now. I watched the first 2.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, but if you listen to the episode last week, I was talking about the fact that we'd watched all 3 because the first 3 dropped at the first time. And when I mentioned something that happened in the first episode, Todd was like, well, thanks for the spoiler. And I'm like, it was in reference to Clancy Brown's murder, which happens at the end of the first episode. Spoiler again. And then we determined that Todd had only watched the third episode thinking that it was the first one, which is absolutely hilarious. And it was fun. And thanks for being a good sport about it. But anyway, we've moved on to the 4th episode, which Todd has not watched. And I won't, and it moves at pace. Things are happening the way that you would expect them to. But Todd, we were talking in the pre-roll about how the boys-averse, the Vaudiverse, as it were, really emphasizes gross outs when it comes to the male anatomy. We've had the guy who exploded while inside another gentleman's member. And then we had in the first episode of this where our, tiny character Cricket was hanging off a gentleman's penis.
Oh,
well, I can simply tell you that there is a gross out in episode 4 that, in my opinion, especially as a dude, puts them all to pasture. And that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Watch the show.
I don't know.
If you are a tenderhearted and don't like the gore or the gross things, don't watch this. It's not for you.
Yeah. It's
not for a lot of people to be.
It really is not. I don't know that I would recommend this show to
your dad.
People.
Did you say, Dad, watch this show?
No, I mean, it's like I couldn't imagine. Like my mother stopped watching Game of Thrones because it was too violent.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's okay. But there's a gross out in this that I think shoots for the moon. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, I'll gird my loins as prepare to watch this on the
you don't know how right you are.
Because do I have to prepare myself? And
you might want to do the earmuffs and kind of close your eye. Yeah, if you can do one of these, you might need to. But anyway, Gen V is over on Amazon Prime, as is the film that I watched. And this was we actually went. It was.
And I'm going to watch this film, Charlie. So you have to give me very little.
Very little. I can probably give you exactly what I can. But yeah, I brought up Amazon Prime on Friday night, and the very first thing was this new horror movie called Totally Killer, starring Kiernan Shipka. And I looked at April and I said, it is inappropriate for me that she's grown up to be an attractive young woman. That is not okay with me. Because I was like, I'm not looking.
Was Sabrina the first thing you saw her in?
No, dude, I saw her when she was 5 in Mad Men. 5. She was a child.
Okay.
So now she is a grown woman, and I'm not going to say anything more about that. Yikes. But anyway, this is not a raunchy movie in that fashion. There's not really nudity or anything like that, but it has to do with a young woman in current parlance who is your typical 17-year-old disaffected teen, doesn't want anything to do with her parents. And it's Halloween, but she lives in a town where 35 years prior, in 1987, there was a serial killer who, wore a Johnny Bravo mask or whatever it was, and killed 3 girls at the local high school, but her mother and her father were also students at that time. And through hook or by crook, Kiernan Shipka's character travels through time, ends up in 1987, being familiar with the case.
This is
thinking that she can stop it.
This is where I was confused because the movie takes place in current day, correct?
The framing sequence is, and then interspersed in between is 2023, correct?
That's so weird because they said, and I thought 97 made sense because parents like our age
87,
kids
87.
But 87, that's where it doesn't make sense. Their kids should be like 33.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because exactly what you're talking about does actually.
I was just a little confused.
There's a lot of, and it's funny. There's a ton of interplay between talking about Back to the Future, which of course came out in 1985. So characters in 1987 were familiar with it, and there's a little bit of that Marty McFly-ism.
Okay.
That circulates throughout this movie.
Yeah, because we can't go back to the 80s with parents and their kids because at this point, It's like
exactly.
Parents in their 90s. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and again, Todd, you and I were in college 10 years after this, but in 1987, I was 11, you were 12, we were in junior high. So we were not quite this age, but we have, now I'm going to draw a blank. Julie Bowen plays the adult version of the mother. Actor Lachlan Monroe is the dad. You've seen him in 1,000 different things. And the kids are, the younger version of them are just kids that you've seen in other stuff. Enjoyable kind of horror comedy, but certainly tons of graphic violence in it. So they're not pulling any of the punches because this is
kind of like a Freaky.
Yeah, I would say, or like the was it The Babysitter?
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah. So along that line. So yeah,
I dig
Todd,
those.
Yeah, Todd, I would totally encourage it. Won't say another thing about it. I think Kieran Shipka was great, but not comfortable with the fact that she's an attractive young lady now. So boo!
It happens, Charlie. We're in an age now where everybody is eventually going to be an adult, and that's how it works.
Yes, exactly. Oh, boo on that. But anyway, all right. Well, that wraps up our time at the Geek Easy. We're skipping out on the check yet again. My burger got spit in. I think I found a toenail in my old fashioned. Not good. But got to get out that Air Qantas app. Time to head to the land down under. Hologram Tina, and the mutants awaits for our breakdown of Exorcist, the Believer. So let's go.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome.
Thank you, Tina. We're sitting in Thunderdome where the mutants have been gathered for a Top Gear game to be entertained. And it's Shocktober week 2. So shocking. This week, we are doing Exorcist Believer. This is actually a new movie in theaters. This is the 6th installment in the actual Exorcist franchise. But this is essentially pulling a Halloween where it says this is a direct sequel to the original film and the others didn't actually happen.
Now, Todd, you and I both enjoy the podcast. We enjoy. And it was Matt Fowler and what's the other dude's name?
Eric. Dang, I'm blank. Eric.
Whoops.
Not Larson. It's Eric.
Eric Larson, the art. Yeah. So, Matt and Eric. And that show, in a lot of ways, like this show, just two buddies yip yapping. And when you got me tuned into the show within the last, several months, they were talking about all these films. And I'm like, I have not seen any of these other films.
And
the great news is because they have been erased from continuity, I don't have to.
No.
So
unless you just want to watch them for funsies.
I mean, isn't that why anybody watches any film? But we watched the original Exorcist not that long ago. And so I think I did that, not even necessarily thinking we were going to be doing this, but I was at least up to speed. So yeah.
Yep. So this movie is directed by David Gordon Green, which once again, pulling in the Halloween of this. David Gordon Green bought back Halloween, essentially said, oh, everything but before that was not real. I'm making the reofficial a sequel with Jamie Lee Curtis, things like that. So he's back again doing the same thing with The Exorcist. This has Ellen Burstyn, who is basically the mother of Reagan in the original. Jennifer Nettles and Leslie Odom Jr. are basically our stars in this film. And
I could not pin down Jennifer Nettles until the credits were rolling that she's a musician. Yeah, she's from the country supergroup Sugarland. She's lead singer.
Oh, okay.
You see what I mean? Because it was like I was looking at a face, then I saw the name, and I'm like, oh, there we go. And Leslie Odom Jr., I'm like, damn, he's handsome. I had to look him up. He's Aaron Burr, sir, from
exactly. Yeah, he's
from
got
Hamilton.
Quite a career since Hamilton. Yeah,
exactly.
So the premise is when two girls disappear into the woods, return 3 days later with no memory of what happened to them. The father of one girl seeks out Chris McNeil, who we just mentioned was the mother of Reagan.
Yep.
Who's been forever altered by what happened to her daughter 50 years ago. Wow, 50 years. Wow. It's amazing where time goes.
Todd, we're kissing the stone because I'm 47 and you're 48. 50's coming up.
Yep, exactly. Budget was $30 million. That's about in line with most horror films. So that's good. From there. So I saw this movie last night. You also saw it yesterday, Charlie.
Yep.
And this movie is getting mixed reviews at best. So
it's kind of in a tug of war from what I hear between RT and the audience rating. I think the audience
60s?
rating, well, I think the audience rating was in the 50s, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
You might have to double check that. So it's getting raked across the coals. And I mentioned this to April as we were driving to or from the theater, and she said, anybody who didn't get this film or thought it was derisive or bizarre didn't see the first film, because it was damn near a carbon copy thematically. It was really, really kind of the same thing. With a little bit more of a modern spin on it. So I guess I'm not getting the hate over it. What are people really saying?
IMDb giving it 5.2 out of 10.
That's rough.
Yeah, and I think that's the hard part, because if you're saying this is the sequel to one of the most celebrated horror films, even films of all time,
true.
I assume those other Exorcist films face the same problem, where it's like,
it's why most people don't know a damn thing about them, and it was that easy for for David Gordon Green to just toss them out the window, the same way he did with Halloween, because a lot of those it just got to be like, he's back again. He got he got grounded up in a combine, but he's back again. So
we didn't love how those subsequent Halloween films ended, but we really liked the first one. It could have ended there, and it would have been fine. They want to do more with this franchise, The Exorcist. Apparently, they made a huge deal with between Universal and Blumhouse to do this, which is it's a lot of money to spend on a franchise, like $400 million. But right now, not doing great critically or audience. So so I was worried going, and I'm like, I don't want to I don't want to color my perspective when I see a film. So I will say, though, Charlie,
let me jump in before we do full spoilers. I assume we're going to talk about
full spoilers.
Just
theaters. So I think people will hold off unless you really want to see this film. You'll hold off to get it on demand or watch it when it's streaming. So I don't think we have to worry about that.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, but if that's the case, please definitely skip to the end, and we'll catch you next week. But all right. So let's get into it, man. So we have a flashback to about 13 years ago. You have a black couple from Georgia who's vacationing in Haiti. The wife is very pregnant. She gets caught in essentially an earthquake that tears down the hotel that they're staying in. She's laying crushed under rubble, gets to the hospital. The husband was not with her, but then comes back to the hospital. He's left with the Sophie's choice. Hey, we can save your wife or we can save your daughter. And then it cuts forward to the future. So you don't know what choice he made jumping forward, but
until you see his daughter.
Until the end of it, you end up seeing his daughter.
Well, you don't see the choice, but his daughter survived.
But the choice will come back in the third act, in flashbacks. But so his daughter is 13. Goes to us, and it's a single father. He's a studio photographer. He's sending her off to school. Her best friend is a young white girl who comes from the Bible thumping family. There's three of them. They seem to be very different, but opposites attract. So
apparently the parents didn't know they were friends either, which was interesting. Yeah,
exactly. So these little girls walk out of school one day after setting up a plan to hang out by saying, "I'm going to be at so and so's house, and you'll be at so and so's house." They go off into the woods, and they essentially, through incantations, summon the devil. Damn it, I hate it when that happens. In a weird little hidey hole.
Isn't Pazuzu the spirit that's the main bad dude in The Exorcist? It's the Pazuzu.
You know what? I don't know. I think so. Sounds about right. Sure, why not? So these little girls disappear for 3 days. They turn up at a farm 30 miles down the road, completely discombobulated, but they walk there with no shoes. And, they take the girls home. The religious family keeps their kid at home while eventually I'm drawing a blank. What's the daughter's name?
What's his name?
What's that?
Oh, Victor was the name of Leslie.
Victor's the dad, So
Emma?
Olivia, Alexandra? I don't know, it doesn't matter. I know, we're so good at doing our homework.
But anyway, 1, girl 2.
Girl 1 ends up in a mental institution while she's, spitting out, terrible things. And their next door neighbor is a nurse at the hospital, played by the same actress who's Aunt Lydia in, what's that show my wife loves? The Handmaid's Tale. Yeah, exactly. So she gets involved. She's very religious. She was someone who washed out of the convent, so she was in her younger years.
Endowed, yeah. She's quite the renowned actress. Yeah. First, thought she was just going to be a grumpy lady yelling at, "Hey, get your trash cans."
Yeah, exactly. Get you the me of my neighborhood. Hey, get those kids up. I got these kids up the block right now that ride their bikes in the street. Makes me insane. We don't live on a cul-de-sac. We got kids zipping by at all speed. One of those kids is going to get run over someday. But I digress.
That's not your problem, Charlie.
It's 100%
the one that runs them over.
You know what? No, I yelled at these kids. I said, "Don't do that." And you know what? They keep doing it. I said, "You know what?" To quote raunchy comedians, "F them kids. Let them do what they want. It's not my problem." But anyway,
the kids' names are Catherine and Angela.
Catherine and Angela.
And yes,
Angela's the white
daughter.
one. Yeah, there you go.
No, Catherine is the daughter of the religious.
There you go. So yeah, white one, black one. Got it. So anyway, things start to converge. It's determined that there's definitely some devilish business going on here. So Victor, the dad, the single dad, seeks out Chris McNeil, that is Ellen Burstyn's character, who in 50 years in between has turned into it. She wrote about her experience in the first film, went on tour with it, became very famous, but this caused an estrangement between her and her daughter Reagan, who's portrayed by Christy. I'm going to say Christy Swanson. No, it's what is the name of the actress who played Reagan in the first film?
It was.
Is it here in?
On her name.
Damn it! It's not in the notes. It's Christy, not Christy McNichol.
It's not Christy. God. No, it's not. It's
we're screwed. But anyway, let's just let it float, and maybe it'll come back to us. So anyway, Victor meets with Ellen Burstyn's character, convinces her to get involved. But that really goes poorly quickly because Victor takes her to the White family's house, and the devil-possessed young white girl stabs her eyeballs out with a metal cross that falls off of her. That wall.
Was brutal.
The whole time I was watching, I'm like, can this be like a vision that doesn't really come to pass? Nope, it really happened.
Nope, it's real.
Yep, Ellen Burstyn's in the hospital with her eyes with her basically her eye sockets wrapped up, and it's totally jacked. So, Victor's got to be feeling real bad because this lady was sitting out on her beach house on an island somewhere, drinking whiskey, and now she's got no eyeballs.
Live, love, laugh.
Live, laugh. You're laughing about having no eyeballs.
Scream, scars, no sight.
Yeah. That I don't think you're going to be able to market that. But at any rate, it's things have gotten so bad that they've gotten the church involved, just like they did in the first place. And they have a local priest who's going to be in the mix, but then the church won't let him. So he's on the property when they're going to perform the big seance. So they put him they strap the two girls together back to back, and they've got him in the circle with the salt and all this different stuff. And all of the characters are there. Couple different preachers, the religious family, Victor, Aunt Lydia's there, and they're all saying incantations and throwing shit, whatever it is. And the priest is sitting in his car outside. He finally says, "Finally, I'll get in the mix." And he comes in, and he really looks like he's getting the shit done when Catherine's devil character tears his friggin' head off, like spins his head around backwards, breaks his neck.
Yeah, it was essentially the kids were doing their own like head turning, their own, and it was essentially causing him to have his head turned.
Yeah,
which I mean, I'll give the film credit at this point. They wanted to go a different route because obviously the first film was so focused on the Catholic Church, where the Catholic Church, this is modern times, where they're worried about perception and because of all the controversy,
their reputation. Yeah,
they said, "Oh, we recommend they seek psychological efforts." Where you got other religious and people of faith from different areas. You got more of the Protestant area with the White family and their pastor. You got a guy that it was his neighbor that was more like in like the faith healing, like he talked about like snakes and
he brought in the it almost seemed like the kind of African people, kind of similar.
Well, and she was a different member of like, because this is in Georgia. They're talking about how when the slaves were brought forward, they brought their faith along with people that were the natives,
a little African tribal
in the land. So you had these three different groups, and that was the thing that really surprised me. That
you had Victor, who is an atheist. He doesn't really believe in anything, but that's in that third act, that was the crux of it when they're all standing there in the incantation circle.
And Dowd, who basically her character was great because you find out that she was supposed to be a nun, and she, because of something that happened to her life, I don't want to spoil that because I think it's something that people should have their own thoughts on it. But
yeah, it was a big punch, a big emotional punch, I think.
Yeah, she essentially picked up the mantle from the priest who wouldn't do it, and she said, "I will take this on."
Right.
And
so she was leading until the priest showed up, and then he got his Waterloo, and then she had to step back in. But at the end of it, it was through flashback revealed that in Haiti 13 years ago, the Haitian doctor said, "Hey, we've got a choice. We can save your wife, or we can save the baby, but we can't save them both." He says, "Please save my wife." And Linda Blair, thank you very much. Todd put in the notes. That was the Reagan character. Oh my God. I don't know why that was escaping us.
No, it's okay.
So Victor says, "Save my wife." They move forward with doing
which
that.
His daughter says to him, and
as the devil, because the devil knows all, the same way that God knows all, if you look at it that way, and reveals that that she knows, and then it's now known to everyone in the room, and of course the audience. But yes, in attempting to save the wife, they don't, and the baby is saved instead. But through this revelation and through him confessing his ultimate, I love you, you're my entire life, blah blah blah. The devil is driven from Catherine. From Catherine.
Well, essentially, yeah, you get basically out of them. The two are linked. The two daughters are linked. Right. They're observing their basically their life signs,
life force, the heartbeat. Yeah,
correct. Their EKG, all of their heartbeat together. They're linked, and so together they both say, one must live for the other one to, one must die for the other one to live. And they're like, make a choice. So basically this is between the families and who's going to make a decision. At that point, none of them are making decisions. They're not allowed to touch the kids. They're basically essentially at a standstill to see if they can do anything to really make a difference by, exercising these girls.
Right.
And at that point, then, the dad of is it Catherine? Yes, Catherine's the white girl.
Yeah.
He's the one that's the weak link. He's the one that is basically not going along with it. He doesn't take his shoes off when everyone else does. He shrinks away. He leaves.
Yeah, he just can't get on board with the program. Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought he made a turn where he does take off his shoes and comes back into the house. But then you find out he really didn't, and that's where everything goes to hell.
so to speak, or stays in hell. But yeah, so essentially Victor is successful in his appeal. The devil is driven from Catherine, but in doing this, and I guess this to me was the surprise, because you figured, there's going to be a happy ending, the devil is going to be defeated, but no, the devil takes the life of Angela. She does.
That was the ultimate trick, and the father fell for it. He was essentially saying, you choose one, and they didn't say the other one will live, but if you choose, someone will live, and that's where the devil got the dad, and then you saw essentially the chaos that's left over. And I always wonder about that, because you do see the police come.
Right.
And
as a cop walking onto this scene, holy shit, it just looks like some kind of ritualistic murder. So I turned to April as I was saying, I said, everybody's going to jail, right? At least
I was going to say that. How do you just solve that out? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So party, things got out of control.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
The ceiling.
Yeah, no big deal. So in the end of it, obviously Angela is spared, but we do get a nice button to the end of the movie. We're back in the hospital. Ellen Burstyn's character is sitting there, obviously staring into nothing because she has no eyeballs. She hears the door open, says, "Victor, is that you?" And, "No, Mom, it's me." And there's Linda Blair as Reagan reuniting with her mother. Doesn't really matter why she's there, but you know what? That was nice. So now she can take care of her blind mom, and we can possibly move on to a sequel. But again, how are we looking now? It's Sunday as we're recording this. How are we looking for box office projections for opening weekend?
Question, because
I think it'll drive this.
How full was your theater?
It was funny you should ask. It was, we saw it on a Saturday at about 5:30. We had a really loud and obnoxious family in our row, and then some people in front of us, some people behind us. So Saturday, not so much. Friday or even Thursday preview nights, because I went to go buy the tickets, and the stupid website kept kicking me back to Thursday. Thursday, it looks like it did really well. So preview nights and people going out to see it. But by Saturday, and again, it was technically what was referred to in the old days as a matinee, like pre 6 p.m. What was not busy. So I'm not sure. And again, here locally, it was the weather was crappy early October, so something to drive people inside. So it's not like, at least locally, it had weather going against it, which it can be weird in the Midwest. So yeah, I don't know.
There was like 8 people in my theater, and I went to a 6:20 showing on a Saturday. So I think that's the prime time to see this movie.
Yeah, at night and stuff. Exactly. So what are we looking at?
$27 million weekend, 11. So that's not bad for a $30 million film.
Yeah, I mean it's bit for bit with removing marketing and
Saw X made 18 million its debut. Nun 2 made 32. So for horror, I mean, unless you're like maybe Halloween or like It, typically those movies aren't like huge.
Yeah, so, based on 26 versus a $30 million budget, but that's weekend one, there's probably some mitigating overseas budget that'll play into it. So based on that, do you feel like, the Halloween ended up being a trilogy? Is that also the plan here? Is that something that's been discussed? I feel like
they want to make this really a new franchise.
I feel like there's a good chance based on that they could nudge it forward. Well, let me ask you this, since you've got it up, how did Halloween, the first of that return, how did that do?
That did really well. Let me just look that up.
But I wouldn't go so far as saying almost kissing its budget domestically on weekend one is doing really well. It's not quite breaking even. And again, we're not talking marketing, and which always doubles the budget's number.
And that movie came out in 2018. I mean, so obviously pre-pandemic,
right?
And it made $255 million worldwide, 159 domestic. Opening weekend, and its budget was only 10. So the budget. Opening weekend, trying to find if I can find the opening weekend budget. And it was re-released in 2020. That's weird.
Wow.
Yeah. Domestic opening was 76. So like I said, Halloween and It seemed to be the two big.
That's the base, the foundation.
Yeah, because it's got a big calling, and people are aware of that Stephen King. So I mean, in this instance, seems like it's in a good spot. I don't know if that's why you base a franchise on.
Yeah,
but also based on this movie ending, kind of like it ended, and there wasn't a after credits scene,
right?
And
no,
I don't know.
No stinger.
Maybe we go with Reagan. Maybe Reagan picks it up, and she takes over, and maybe that's her calling because she sees that this death will go after other kids, and maybe she picks it up. That could be kind of cool.
Could be. I mean, and again, we'll watch it because we enjoy this kind of stuff. So, I enjoyed this film. I did like, the hook at the end that they didn't go with the obvious route of, and both girls were saved and everybody was great. That there were some stakes, and the devil collected his bill. But in one way, you didn't
save the day.
Yeah, you had a character arc of Victor. Being forced to face his demon, literally, in so much that he, chose his wife over his daughter. His Sophie's choice was he chose his wife, and he didn't get that, and that's obviously something that he held, in the corner of his heart. So I found that to be, one of the more interesting parts of this film. So yeah, I like it. I would say go out and see it. And again, we've spoiler casted you here. But I don't think that means you won't enjoy the film because you don't have our words to describe it. But yeah, I liked it. And I would say if this then relates in a spin-off where you see, Linda Blair, who is not really even in the acting world anymore that I'm aware of these days, coming back and doing a franchise out of Steel, I think that'd be cool. That's my take.
Jamie Lee Curtis coming back. I mean, she kind of came back for that. Now, one thing, Charlie, I thought was good where, basically where Victor's talking to, at this point when he's first meeting Ellen Burstyn, and he talked about it, she made a point to say, I was not allowed in during the exorcism. Basically, I was locked out. This one's completely different. The parents are all in on it, and you can see the good and the bad from that. The good is that they were there to show their love, their support, and be an anchor for those kids. But the other side, then you also got the parents being weak and giving in, which essentially then led to one dying. So you can see both sides, the positive, negative of parents being involved in this. So, but you really lacked the the strength of the Catholic Church this time.
Yeah,
I like the alternate faiths coming together, and it was really I really liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to after
same here.
all of the reviews.
Absolutely correct. Well, cool. Well, all right, go out and support this film again in theaters right now. And that is the end of our program. So cool. We will be back next week with even more Shocktober. Todd, you got the schedule on lock. What do we talk about next week?
Good question.
Because I have
seconds.
Turn around and watch it because I got a busy week at work.
I got
a trade show this week. Yeah.
Werewolves Within, and we have a guest lined up for that.
Oh, very exciting. Good deal. Well, be sure to tune in on that. But all right, friends, as always, thank you for joining us. Todd, where do people find you out there?
X is still a place where there's a lot more people than Threads, so still check us out at T-Oxtra and at Secret Friends U. But also, I'm putting more stuff out on Threads. So I believe it's Todd Oxtra on Threads because that's tied to Facebook, on Instagram, and those things. And also, Secret Friends Unite is on Threads, so check us out there as well.
Yes, that's an effort of mine. I got to get a little more serious on Threads. My Threads ties back to my Facebook, which Facebook I have issues with, don't use it much. But I am C3 Carpenter on Threads, spell it out. But I'm more marginally active over on X Twitter, where I'm at the C3. Just go ahead and spell it out. My lovely wife April and I do run the USS Grand Petoskey. That is one of the biggest chapters of the International Star Trek Fan Club. We are based here in West Michigan. We did a Ren Fair yesterday, which was fun. We're helping out one of the chapters in Southwest Michigan that we launched recently at an event this upcoming weekend in Kalamazoo, Michigan. So we are out there spreading the good word of Trek, but I'm also very privileged to run Region 13, in addition running the Petoskey. If you live in Michigan or Eastern Canada and you're a Trekker within the sound of my voice, want to learn more about what we do, give us a good Google at Region 13 or USS Grand Petoskey. Get in touch with me and I will give you a hand. But that's all I got. Again, friends, thank you for joining us. I'm going to tell you, as always, that sharing is caring and to keep on trucking.
Be the hero, not the villain.
In a truck.
The power of Christ compels you.
Splat.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.